This is the leather leaf fern, and I believe you're going to have enough for 3 pieces of leather leaf. So what you do is you work to get the leather leaf so that it won't flip and flop, but obviously leather leaf fern has a pretty side and an ugly side. So you of course want it facing the front. That to me is enough. I don't think you need 3 pieces, but if you have them, we have enough for 3. Now you're going to work on the height of the arrangement. So I've got it where it's sitting the way I want it, and I'm going to work on the height. Now what's the rule of thumb on the height of an arrangement? 1.5 to 2 times the height, you say with so much excitement. So if you use the edge of the table, just snip that off right there. That should be the height that you wanted, okay? Now naturally that leather leaf started to split a little bit because it has room. I was holding it in my hands. Now it has some room to spread apart. So sometimes you have to kind of encourage it back together again. That flower needs to be right here. That flower head needs to be right there. You may get some pollen on your hand from the leather leaf. It won't hurt. You got a mask on anyway. Okay? So I want that flower to be about right there. Now what will happen if you're not careful is it will break at one of these joints. Okay? If you happen to hit at a joint, that's a good place to break it. If not, you can snip it there. Now I would encourage you not to use scissors regularly, but in a classroom with 25 people, I'm not going to hand out 25 knives. Remove the lower foliage. We talked about this yesterday. If you remove the lower foliage, you prevent it from being below the water line and rotting. You can open up that carnation some if you feel like you need to. Do not stick the carnation in the very front, because then your carnation is going to stick out here. So what you want to do is try to stick the carnation so that the stem goes behind the stem of the leather leaf. Okay? And that's about where I wanted it. If everybody gets 1 stem of Caspia, they have enough for themselves and 5 armies. Okay? That's plenty of Caspia. That's plenty of Caspia. So you can take a stem like that, but be sure it gets into the vase. You do need a longer stem if you can. If you bend it like I just bent it, cut above the bend, because that's never going to take up water. Of course, now that's not going to be a long piece. All right, it needs to make sure, you need to make sure it's getting in the water. I need a longer piece. Good news, I have plenty. Okay, that one right there has got my eye. I'm going to remove some of that, and I want it to go back in here behind the carnation. Okay? Now, all my stems are in the water. The next thing it needs is a bow. But we are done with the bud vase. Now let's talk about the creation of this and the principles and elements that we just used. All right? Obviously a principle here has to do with proportion and scale, right? Balance. We tried to have green on both sides. So there's balance. So there's 2 other. Unity, harmony. Well, I mean, it's hard to mess up with 2 colors. So harmony's there. Blue, I'm sorry, that's purple. Purple and white. There you go. That's harmonious. Unity's hard to really talk about here because there's not a whole lot to it. It's a pretty simple design. That leaves us with focal point or accent. And that leaves us with rhythm. Well, everything comes from back down here. So I think we've got a flow, we've got rhythm. And focal point, this is the area that's going to get your attention. Okay? Now, one thing I just noticed, See that piece of broken leather leaf right there? Go ahead and break that off, because if not, it'll be brown tomorrow. And that's how you create a bud vase. Now each of you are going to get to do that.